In this video, we're going to go ahead and teach you to correct the floating problem that we've got using clearing. And really the clearfix method is what we're going to use in this example. So as you guys remember in the last demo, we have this element that's floated and this element. And as we look at our HTML, you know, that is the div class there, and there's the div class for the right side. In our CSS, we've set it up so that it floats both of those sides, which is why they're sitting side by side. But the bigger problem is there was a container behind here that had a background color. And then this footer element, if you take a look in our HTML, we've got a footer all the way down here at the bottom that should be at the very bottom of our page, but instead it's writing up higher. So this is something we're going to have to fix, and we'll just walk through what that process looks like. So it is going to actually be applied to this, this section. So you can apply more than one class to an element in HTML, and in this case this specific section is going to have two classes. So one is going to be box1, which we've already defined a few of styles, which we'll go back to in a minute, and then we're going to create another one called clearfix that we can reuse as we need to later down the road. Okay, so after box1 we're going to basically tie in a clearfix. So remember, box1 we had a background color and it just suddenly disappeared when we added our floats. So when we clear this, it's going to fix the problem. The method that we use now is called clearfix, and I'm just going to go ahead and create it. So the thing that's special about this is we have to use a pseudo class, and the pseudo class basically is called after. And basically what that means is any element that falls after that section is going to fix the float so it doesn't impact them. So those footer things, the links that we've got, they're going to basically flow later in our page, and then our background color should come back. So this is code that, I'll be honest, I don't have it memorized. I do reference often, and we did share this code with you and place it in the module for you to reference. And then you could actually search online for examples. So we'll explain what it is. I'll just go ahead and type it real quick. So essentially this creates like a placeholder for this to fix. And display table is needed to be able to make this work. And basically it's going to work across all the browsers. And then clear both is what is going to help us fix the problem by basically clearing both sides that may be impacted by those floating methods. So we're just going to go ahead and see what's happening. Let's check our HTML. There it is. I always forget to save. So notice once I've saved both of my pages, it comes back. So I've got, you know, I've got my left side and my right side, and then my footer went down lower. Okay, so if you did want to fix the positioning of left side and right side, you could play around with the margins. For example, the benefit to floating to the right means you have more space in the middle. However, if you float to the left, they might be too close to one another. So you will want to play around with that based off of whatever your layout is you're working on. In this example, it's not a huge deal. We just need to understand how we can fix that if we want to. And then we're just going to go ahead and fix footer real quick. So we've got our footer here. I'll just change this document so we come higher up and see both in the same. We'll go ahead and add in a width. And again, this is just going to define it so it kind of acts like a placeholder. All right, and one last thing I did want to just quickly show you guys. Obviously you've played around with height before, so if you did want that to be a bit taller, you could adjust it in this case. But you may actually want to be able to style your links so they're different. So by default we can style links So let's just go ahead and do one example. So we'll change the links for all of our page to be, let's just change the color to, we'll say black. And let's go ahead and say font, weight, bold. Okay, we might actually want to change this so we can actually see it. We're going to change it to a different red than that red. Choose dark red. And we'll take the text decoration away. Now what you're probably noticing is that the links here are exactly the same as the ones here. And in your website you may want that to be different. So we'll walk you through that in just a second. We're going to go ahead and set up a hover state as well. So in this case, anything that you want to be different. So let's just go ahead and change the hover color to, let's say crimson. See if it's enough of a change. And we can say border bottom. Let's just see what happens. So you notice how we have a hover effect and it's working. Again, that's going to be the same for both. So we do want to talk about specificity, and this is something you'll build upon. It's a pretty complicated concept to understand as you start to build layouts, but it's essential to be able to control what you want in a page. So in this case, we can target the links that are in footer by putting footer first, and then basically we're just going to go ahead and copy both of these. Again, I love to work efficiently, so we'll put footer above this one too. And then let's change the styles because we want to make sure we can see a huge difference. Let's see, let's make them white or azure. Let's see what they look like. And we might decide we do not want font weight used. Actually, we'll just leave it. Text decoration, you can leave all of those. Let's just go ahead and change the hover effect to something different as well. So we'll change the color. Pick a bright color that we can see, but something that's super different. And you might even use something like background color. So you have the option to be able to change, whatever the colors are that we've got. We might actually use azure as the background color. So let's just see what happens. So again, all the links that are in my footer should take on these styles, whereas any other link in our page would take on those styles. So notice how those are different than this one. Okay, and that's just called specificity. It's calling any links that are inside of this specific tag. So if you have a tag to call, like a footer or a nav, you can use it, or you could use a class. So we'll go ahead and take a break. We will talk about adding floating and clearing in one other demo beyond this, just so that you can see that you could actually build within this layout and create another section that basically floats and clears, so that you know how to be able to add multiple floating and clearing elements inside of your page.